One of the tools used in shaping involve creating schedules of reinforcement, and this is where the organism, with typically when with the examples we give, we think about reinforcement as continuous. It's like you engage the behavior, you get the positive consequence. You put money into the vending machine, you get your candy bar every single time. That's continuous reinforcement. Okay? Wouldn't it be nice if everything in life worked that way, where every time you engage in the behavior, you get the consequence that you're looking for? And if but sometimes it just happens. Sometimes you study hard, but still do poorly on an exam. Okay? It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens occasionally. And, that means, it could perhaps weaken that response, where now you might not study anymore if you're, if you're going to fail anyway. If you're failing every time you study, then yeah, you'll probably stop studying eventually. But if you're only failing occasionally, you're going to keep on doing it because you're still getting the reinforcement, but in this case your reinforcement's intermittent reinforcement or partial reinforcement. So the behavior is reinforced only some of the time. So if you fail an exam after you studied hard, but it only happens occasionally, you'll still keep studying. You still won't lose hope. So here are some examples of reinforcement schedules that can be either artificially created in a laboratory or can happen in real life, just real life circumstances. We have these reinforcement schedules that are put upon us. An example, there are two categories, ratio schedules and interval schedules. Ratio schedules, the reinforcement is based on the number of times you make the desired behavior, make the desired response. So if you're doing it 10 times, doing it 15 times, doing it 3 times, 4 times, whatever it happens to be, this is how your reinforcement is based, on how many behaviors you engage in. On the other hand, interval schedules are based on time. How much time passes between the reinforcement? If you get reinforced every 5 minutes, or if you get reinforced once a day at a particular time, or do you get reinforced at various times throughout the day without any kind of a warning? So let's take a look at each of these types of reinforcement schedules. A fixed ratio schedule, your reinforcement occurs after a fixed number of responses. A good example of that is someone who might work as a seamstress. A seamstress would perhaps be would be sewing pieces of clothing, creating dresses, or whatever it is that they're making with with their tools, and they get paid based on how many products they produce. So if they make 20, if they make, let's say, 60 garments an hour, they're making one garment every minute. Maybe you get like your reinforcement after every 60 garments you make. So maybe somebody else makes the 60 garments in a half an hour. They can work a little bit faster, but you get paid after you make 60 garments. So 60 garments, you get your payment. 60 garments, you get your payment. 60 garments, you get your payment. So you got to keep working to make those 60 garments if you want to get paid. Okay, and that's a fixed ratio schedule. A variable ratio schedule means you don't know how many times you need to engage in the behavior. Now, if you are a seamstress, a variable ratio schedule would not be desirable because you don't know how many of those shirts you need to put together before you're going to get your payment. You want to have some predictability in your life. But there are other circumstances where a variable ratio schedule happens, and a good example of that would be at a casino, a slot machine. Someone who plays at a slot machine, the behavior that they're trying to reinforce, that the casino is trying to reinforce, is putting money into the machine because the casino wants your money. So you put the money in the machine, press the button, spin the wheel, whatever you do. Your reinforcement will come. You'll get a jackpot perhaps eventually, but it may take 1,047 times that you need to play, and therefore it may be a while. On the other hand, it could come after 17 plays, or it could come after 3 plays. You don't know how many times you're going to need to engage in the behavior of putting money into the slot machines. But when you do that, but essentially it could be the next one, it could be the next one, it could be the next one, it could be the next one. So you put another dollar in, you put another dollar in, because it could be the next dollar that leads you to your jackpot. You don't know how many times you need to do the behavior in order to get the reinforcement. Now let's take a look at interval schedules. A fixed interval schedule means that you're going to get reinforced after a fixed time has elapsed. For example, currently, I get paid to teach this course, and I get paid every 2 weeks. So, if I get paid every 2 weeks, I know that is when my paycheck is going to come, and the paycheck reinforces the behavior of me teaching. And therefore, I will keep on doing it. But if let's say I do 1,000 teaching behaviors on one day and only 3 teaching behaviors the next day, well, I'll still get the same paycheck in 2 weeks, whether or not I worked more on Monday than I would do on Tuesday. Okay? And that's based on an interval schedule. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop working, but it means that my work pattern may change here and there, and the reinforcement is not going to change. So I'm not necessarily inspired to work extra hard on a particular day, nor am I inspired to stop working altogether. If I stop working altogether, eventually they will stop paying me. But in other words, there's no particular motivation to work extra hard at any particular time because I'm not going to get any special reinforcement for that. A variable interval schedule means that the reinforcement comes at varying times. In other words, if I'm getting paid, my paycheck may come on a Friday, it may come on a Thursday, it may come on a Tuesday, whatever. I don't know when it's going to come. It may come in 1 week, 2 weeks, a half a week, who knows. Now, most employees would not want to have that kind of pay schedule. But there are other circumstances where variable interval schedule works. If you have a class where the instructor gives surprise quizzes, you don't know when that quiz is going to come. It could be it could be at the next class. Now, the behavior that the professor is trying to reinforce for you is to reinforce your studying and doing your readings. So when you do your readings and you take the test, particularly the good grade you get from it, is reinforcing. So you're more likely to engage in that studying behavior. If you don't know when the next test is going to come, well then, you've got a variable interval schedule. You don't know when that's going to come, but it doesn't matter. So you're not necessarily going to cram. You'll just keep on studying, just making sure you're ready for the reinforcement opportunity when it comes. And you can take a look here at this illustration showing the response patterns for the interval and ratio measures. Start with the variable interval one I just mentioned. A variable interval schedule, you don't know when that reinforcement is going to come. It could come in 10 minutes, it could come in an hour, it could come the next day, you don't know when. So you're going to keep engaging in the behavior. The reinforcement, you're not sure when it's going to get there, so you just keep on doing the behavior just in case it's going to come soon. And you kind of steady pace, just doing your work, doing what you need to be doing. If you have a fixed interval schedule, you might start working extra hard once you know that reinforcement is coming. Now, as an example, let's say you work at a retail store and you're on the sales floor doing your work, straightening up the clothes or whatever it is that your store is selling, busy around. Well, let's say at your particular establishment, the boss comes in every day at 2 p.m. and stays for an hour, okay, and then goes home. Well, maybe at 10 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to be working so hard. You're kind of going to be, floating around. But when it starts getting to be like 1:30 or so, you better keep working hard, and that's essentially what happens. Work hard because the reinforcement is coming. You know when the reinforcement is going to come, and then after you get the reinforcement, after the boss leaves, you kind of slack off again. Next day, boss comes 2 o'clock, work hard, work hard 1:30. After the boss leaves, you kind of slow up a bit. And that's that kind of scalloped responding that's typical for a fixed interval schedule. Now, with a fixed ratio schedule, if you remember the example I gave about the seamstress being paid by the piece, being paid by the how many garments she can sew. Well, if you get paid after 60 garments, every 60 garments get a payment. Every 60 garments get a payment. After every 60 garments get a payment. Now, or create one garment per minute and get paid at once an hour, or you can create 2 garments per minute and get paid every half an hour. That's a lot better. So you're going to work as hard and as fast as you can, because then you'll get more reinforcement in your day's work. You'll get more pay for your day's work. So the more you make, the more you get paid. The variable ratio schedule has a similar type of very steep responding pattern. If you know that the jackpot could be the next one, and you put your money in, you're going to keep putting money in. Could be the next one. Could be the next one. Could be the next one. You'll stay at that machine, keep it on going, because the jackpot may be coming very, very soon. Could be the next. It may take. You don't know whether it's going to come after the 5th try, after the 6th try, or whatever. But that's what you're working for.